Hello everyone, Elaine and I come to you after some jiggling in our work situations.
So, I ended up resigning here in Qatar a couple of months ago to head to Hong Kong.
Why Hong Kong?
Well, it's not really much of a big reason. The reason is that my husband found work there, which is...
I think for some people that's a big reason.
Okay, well, he found work there, and that's the reason why, basically, while here is enough and we'll go there. He hasn't been very successful in finding things over here, and I think it's important for us both to be happy and feeling the energy in what we do.
Absolutely. And like you guys have been apart for a while now, so
Yeah.
it'll be really nice to be together.
Absolutely. We're really looking forward to living in the same space, same country for a while, because we've actually been overseas for 20-ish years now, and Frank's job has always been very diverse and a lot of traveling involved. And when I say a lot of traveling, I mean like sometimes long weeks or months apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we've grown to just be able to manage very, very well. But at the same time, we've reached an age with empty nest and all, where we're like, do we really need this anymore?
Mm-hmm.
So we've been actively looking for somewhere where we can both be in the same place. And now that, and Qatar didn't work out for that, so we are, now he's found something in Hong Kong. And I think, for my role as teacher, educator, in educational leadership in any sense, I think Hong Kong is good grounds for finding something. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
I read a report talking about international education and talking about its growth. It's like grown 200 times in the last 10 years.
I can imagine.
And the reason for that growth is before international education was about expatriate kids and giving them a place to be educated while their parents work in developing countries. Now international education is about local children whose families want them to have an international education.
Right.
So places like China, Hong Kong, Vietnam, South America, whole bunch of countries now have, instead of 1 or 2 international school options, they have like 30 each international school options. So I read that report and I was like, okay, there's like huge scope in this area. And I know that I'm going to spend the next 10, 15, 20, I don't know how long I'm going to work. But yeah, just being a leader in this area, becoming a leader in this area, and being a leader in this area. Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
But it also tells you then the type of population we're going to have moving forward. A lot of these developing countries, I think, are going to take over the standard of living of what they can give their people and move out of being developing and be developed nations.
Well, some of the ideas in terms of economic development work or roles that people take on, the idea is that you work yourself really out of a job. You go develop, support, build capacity for locals to be able to
absolutely. You've done your job well when you have no job for you anymore.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's an important factor, I think, to think about when looking for, especially when you're going into development work. But in education, it's a little bit different, because it's the idea of, I guess, broadening perspectives, minds, and understandings of how to approach things and inquire about things and gaining that knowledge for...
So speaking of that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my situation. My job here in Qatar kind of became redundant because they're corporate restructuring and so on. So I was on the job hunt for the last 2 months. And I'm finding myself on the way to Vietnam, and International School Ho Chi Minh City has offered me a position as a middle school sustainability and service lead. And so I'm super excited about that job. And it is what I'm hoping to do is make them a global impact school. And so on the topic of international education, global impact school, I'm just super excited for this role. Super excited.
That can be. I can see how that.
So I was thinking.
Totally see how you fit in that.
So
role.
I was thinking of beginning student impact profile. So I was like, okay, what would this look like? And then I thought of my own situation, and I remember when Dia was younger, running a lemonade stand in the Crescent. The kids raised like $260, and we went to the SPCA, which is a dog shelter, animal shelter. And we donated the money to the animal shelter to improve the lives of animals. And that was that would be part of her global impact profile. Later on in school, she had a project, and I can't remember what they did to raise money. They did a bake sale. Her group, and they raised about $450. And we went to Costco, and we bought $450 worth of socks, and we donated to the homeless shelter. Because socks is something that people don't donate secondhand. And so those two activities would be part of her global impact profile. And those are as she was younger. So I was like trying to imagine a way that without taking curriculum time away, without putting pressure on homeroom teachers, without adding to the demands of school, what kind of platform can I create where kids can come through education with a digital global impact profile? And this global impact profile will then become part of how they identify themselves. Self-identity will become part of maybe job hunting and say, these are the things I've done in life, and this is where my areas of interest have built. So that's where my mind is at. Super excited for it. Think I'm going to have to build an app for that.
Possibly. Or just kind of thinking what that somehow my mind goes to the with Compass Education practitioners, and somehow my mind goes into that space with that, because it's almost, I'm hearing global impact profile, and how can you what's the platform, where do you store it, right? How do you build it year to year without letting go of it? Like, it's something. And can it be something that underlies everything you do within your life in school, that it becomes part of every lesson, as opposed to
absolutely
it's just a lesson where now it's the 40 minutes you're going to write down all the things you've done. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be something that is embedded over time.
Absolutely.
That you kind of
and that's why I call it like a student impact profile, so global impact profile, and it is meant to take over the course of education, so K to 12, and then whatever they do as adults later. But yeah, it is meant to be done over time. It's meant to be embedded in every lesson at school. So on that note, we had a visit to the greenhouse at our school, and a grade 4 teacher, and I actually podcasted on our sustainability journey, another podcast I have with school. She walked into my office super excited about the authentic learning opportunity. And this is after resistance of like, oh, we don't have time to visit the greenhouse, there's not enough curriculum time, we're only getting the kids 2 days a week face-to-face because of COVID restrictions and hurdles. So I was trying to create a schedule to take pressure off of homeroom teachers and have visits scheduled outside of academic time, just to alleviate that hurdle. And because of COVID restrictions, we weren't able to honor that schedule, so I had to delete it all, and I just threw an email out to homeroom teachers. I said, please take your kids down. We have hundreds of tomatoes growing. Kids need to see the fruits of their labor because they're the ones who planted these tomato plants a few months ago. And so she comes into my office and starts talking about this amazing, authentic learning opportunity and how the kids went down there and they talked about the different sizes of tomatoes and why they're different sizes, and could it be how much water they're getting, and could it be the angle of the sun, and why are they different colors? And then they talked about just things they've eaten in life that were different colors. So the conversation went everywhere. And then they started to inquire about the size of the seeds in each of the tomatoes. And then they started to inquire, what is the best way to actually count these tomatoes? You can't count every single one. There's like hundreds of tomatoes in there. So then they started talking about estimation and multiplication and how they can count one plant and multiply it over 50 plants. And I just was like vibrating off this conversation, because this is why I do the work I do, is to set up provocations and opportunities, but it really is up to the teachers to take it further. And so when it gets taken further and they come barreling into my office to share how they were able to enrich and deepen the learning, it's just what I'm meant to be doing. I love it. Absolutely love it.
That's really cool. I loved hearing that story when you were telling me that earlier today as well. And what I liked is you've got to be ready as an educator or a teacher. You've got to be ready to observe those moments as well, though, right?
Absolutely.
You're the only one who can pull it out and allow the kids to just keep going, build that tension for them to hold on to, and just keep the conversation going. And then you can take so much back to the classroom that you can then continue to explore.
So they went back to the classroom and they collected data, and they made a whole bunch of different types of graphs and charts off this data they collected. And
just imagine the skills that are being developed through that.
But in order for that to take place, one, the provocation had to be set up, which took months. Two, the teacher had to be willing to let go.
Exactly, that's the big point.
The plan for the day.
Yes.
And just dive into this authentic opportunity.
Right.
And that's hard. And that's a conversation that's going to take a lot of time to change. And it's like behavioral change over time. How many conversations, how many opportunities do we have to keep giving educators so that they do finally let go of curriculum planning and mapping and adhering to such a scheduled, concrete day? There has to be some balance.
Yeah, but the kids are still tapping into all the aspects of the curriculum and the standards while they're doing that, right? So it's a matter of you as the educator or teacher to be informed about what your curriculum is and to be informed about what your standards are. And then with that, that's your playing field, that's your blueprint, and then let the kids learn, man.
Flexibility, right? We have to let go of concrete. We have to let go of concrete, and we have to just become more flexible.
Yep, let them play.
Well, this has been a fun session. We weren't sure if we had another podcast in us, but it was a good conversation.
Yep.
Thanks, Elaine. Take care, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.